Hey everybody, this is Tony, and I'm here today with a special guest, none other than legendary singer and songwriter Mr. Lenny Williams. How you doing today?
I am doing awesome. And yourself?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for asking. Now, of course, Lenny, you had you know, a long career, over 40 years at this point in the music industry, and now you got a new album out this year called Fine.
Yes.
I want to know, what is it like for you now, creating a body of work in this day and age, seeing all you've seen and then trying to remain relevant and still keep your sound?
Well, it can be difficult, because a lot of times you listen to what's on the radio and you listen to the trends, and sometimes you're tempted and
Right.
to try to just follow the trends, and there's nothing wrong with trying to be trendy, but like you said, you have to try to maintain a certain amount of your character, a certain amount of your traditional sound, and be true to the fans and the people that like your music and customer hearing certain things from you. So it can be challenging, but we try to take I try to hang out with younger people, younger musicians, and and that helps. And then and especially younger musicians that are familiar with what your body of work that you've done over the decades, and then
Right.
Try to make sure that you do it the correct way. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I see singing has become a family business, it seems. I noticed that you got two of your sons on one of the songs.
Yeah, I got
what,
two of my
what was
sons
that
on
like?
there. Yeah. It was fun. My sons and I, we always have sang together, and in the car when they were growing up, always doing some singing and stuff like that, and singing around the house, and so it's just a matter of time that we're going to get that done. And then since I'm 75 years old now, it's like we better hurry up and do it, because you just don't know, with everything that's going on, you just don't know, how long you're gonna be here. So let's get that done. And so I think it was appropriate song, to kind of passing the torch, or teaching, about father more or less telling his sons, it's your time, it's your
Right.
time to get things. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you definitely. I was listening to the album earlier. You definitely pretty much included, R&B. You brought some of the blues out, like the cover "Last $2," which I know Johnny Taylor did before.
Yes.
So you pretty mixed it up this time around.
Yeah, I love the blues. I mean, I'm an Arkansas boy, although I live in California. I was born in Arkansas.
Right.
My mama's from Arkansas, my daddy from Louisiana. So I got Southern roots, and so grew up on that music, blues, gospel, and country music. So I like it all. Yeah.
Mhm. Now, what do you have a favorite on this album? A favorite song so far?
Well, I think my favorite song thus far is the song "All Night," which
Okay.
I wrote with me and I like Grateful too, though. Yeah, Grateful is but I like All Night. I wrote that with my friend DOA, and he produced it, and got my good friend Jamie Tracy singing on it, and so I
Right.
like that song. It's a little suggestive, but at my age, I'm trying to get all the love I can get, and so I'm trying to be creative. And a lot of times people, my granddad, granddaddy, you make a song like that, like you 75. I'm like, hey, old men need love too, and they got all kind of things out here now for us,
That's right.
We don't just have to think about it; we can be about it, So so I'm like, all night. If it don't happen all night, if it go half the night, I'm 1 hour, I'm satisfied. Yeah.
I know that's right. Now, when I look at your story and your career, one thing I noticed that it seems that you have, and you could tell me if I'm right or wrong, but just looking over everything, it seems like you had a determination about yourself. being in this business, that you didn't let something stop you no matter what. Even very early on, I know, you said you got into some trouble. You ended up being incarcerated for a little while. It eventually went and started being a preacher, but you wanted to be a singer. And even though you had, some some labels signed you in the beginning, and that didn't work pretty much, but you still kept going no matter what after that. And then you ended up with Tower of Power. And so then you guys had success there before you eventually left. But no matter what, through the failed things, you still kept going. What was that in you, or was it just a dream, or was it God, or what was the driving force in you that kept you going through that?
Well, I think it was God. I have to give God credit, above all. And then I think, just a sense of determination. It's like, I used to run, and run. You say I'm gonna run 3 miles, or 3.5 miles, or we're gonna run around the track. You got a beginning and an end, and so you definitely can see your end, or you know that it's around there. You know what I mean? It's and then you focus and you go. And so I guess I've just always had a competitive spirit. And so I compete with myself. I compete against circumstances. So what? When I was 14 and I got in trouble, and I went to juvenile hall and camp and California Youth Authority. You know what I mean? Then I get out when I'm 17, and then I say, okay, I'm still in school. I'm gonna finish school, and I finished high school, and then I got married and had 2 sons, and had to get a job, and then try to go to college, and then then decided I want to be a preacher, and do that for a little while, and then I meet Huey Newton at school, and decide I'm going to lay the Bible down, and be about the civil rights movement and everything, and but all these different things come up, and then but I said, well, I do want to be a singer, so I got to get back into that, and then just keep on keeping on, no matter what happened, no matter what life circumstances put in front of you. You say, okay, now I got kids, I got to make sure that I just can't jump up and run off and do anything, because I got to raise these kids. So I got to sneak out here and do a couple shows, but I got to make sure that I'm back home, ready to go to work on Monday, and and if it's a daytime show, I can't do that right now because I got to go to work, got to keep my job, but you still have your eye on the prize, and I think that you have to be a little hard-headed, you know what I mean, and and when you want something, no matter what it is, you're gonna fight until you get it and be successful at it.
Right, absolutely. Now, what I found interesting in listening to some of your previous interviews, when you were in Tower of Power, you were with them for about 3 albums, but eventually you got ready to leave around 1975. But you said one thing you always would say no to was drugs. Why was that such a big thing for you?
Well, I grew up reading Jet magazine.
Right.
And I used to be a newspaper boy, throw the newspaper, and I read newspaper, and I read a lot. I was a voracious reader when I was a kid. And then I would read about Fats Domino. He had a gambling problem, and he gambled his fortune away. And I'd read about Sammy Davis. Then I'd read about another artist who lost their fortune and their good name to drugs, and so I just always tell myself that I'm not gonna be that guy that lose my money to gambling. So I go to Vegas and we play in the casinos and stuff. I'm in my room. You know what I mean? And then if I do get the urge to go down there, I'm taking $20, and and that's it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's my limit right there. And that 20. If it bring me 5,000 or 300 or whatever, and if I lose it, that's it. And then I said drugs and alcohol. I'm not gonna drink. because I don't want to,
Right.
I don't want to like it, and I'm not gonna mess with no dope because I don't want to like it. I mean,
Right.
obviously people do it because they like it. It must be something that's enticing, and then
Yeah.
then after a while that like turns into an addiction, and so I said I'm just not going to do it because I don't want to be that guy. But I think that what I should have done also was think about the fact that running around and having too many women, you know what I mean? They say all the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You know what I mean? I left that part out, so I did mess up a little bit. Where I had too many women in my life. But God, I'm like that old preacher now. Where they say what God couldn't do, old age and finally done. It didn't slow me down. So just I'm a one woman's man now. But when I was younger, that was a great temptation of mine. And women are beautiful. They're lovely. They're gorgeous. They're brilliant. And I tried to have them all, and I found out that you can't. So I got a bunch of kids, and thank God I was able to educate them all and send them all to college and help them all buy a house. So they love me. I did pretty good by them, but But if I had to do it all over again, I think I'd just I try to teach my sons, keep all your kids in one, with one woman, and just make life easier for you. Yeah.
Right. I mean, but I know that you had your temptation back then, but at least you didn't do like a lot of artists and say, they're over there, I'm over here. You at least made it a point to be your actual father to them. I mean, that's
my kids, all out here in California, so I was all able, right. Matter of fact, they are, in Oakland.
Okay.
So I was able to, to pick them up, take them to school, all that stuff, read to them at night, they needed a tutor, be able to get that, It's been an integral part of my kids' lives. Most of them I was married to their mamas. My daddy used to always say, don't live with no woman. If you live with her, you might as well marry her. So I've been married 3 times. I'm on my last time now. Yeah, this is going to work. After how long we've been together, 42 years. If this don't work, then I'm gonna give up on that marriage. Yeah, so, yeah. But,
after 43 years, I mean, it got to work at this point.
Yeah. Well, you never know. Every now and then I see something in the newspaper. So and so got divorced after 46 years of marriage. I said, Lord, when did it go bad? When it just wake up one morning and just after 40-something years and say, I just don't like him anymore. I don't like her no more. I don't like the way she fix her hair. The way she keep her side of the sink, in the bathroom or something.
All right. But what I was going to mention, Noah, asked, you started out being at a young age you started being a preacher. Did you find yourself like, taking that preacher mentality into your singing?
Well, I mean, when you preach, you have a message, and you want to convey that message. You want to get that thought across. You have a subject or a text, and you want to get it across, and you spend 35, 40 minutes, whatever, doing that. And so then, so the concept of singing is the same thing, especially when you're doing a ballad. You want to get that that across. Girl, I love you no matter what you do. So you want to try to, convey that. You have like 3 minutes or 4 minutes, to get that across. So I definitely think that the preaching, the experience of preaching helped me to be able to convey my message in a song, and then also, you try to be fervent or have a sense of urgency in your message. So I think that that's where and cause I love you or something like that, or so very hard to go. The emotion comes from from that experience. And so,
Right.
definitely think there's some kind of correlation there, between the spiritual preaching and, delivering a sermon and delivering, a song.
Now, of course, from your solo works, you had Pray for the Lion with Warner Brothers while you were still with Tower for Power.
Right.
And then you had Rise, Sleeping Beauty with Motown, which seemed kind of odd because Lenny Williams and Motown don't really sound like they go together. But it happened. So then you end up going to ABC, where you get Choosing You and then Spark of Love. But Spark of Love, on that album, you finally got 'Cause I Love You, which basically gave you a hit.
Right.
Or one of your biggest hits, rather. Because, I mean, a lot of artists feel like songs that aren't hits on billboards are still their hits because it's, a good song.
Right.
But 'Cause I Love You changed the game, I would say, for male R&B singers and for singers, period. It wasn't just a begging and pleading song. It wasn't I Just Love You, but it was a message, like you said earlier. And in that song, the way that you did it, you can actually, visualize what's going on, the problem that you're having with the woman that you love. You can see what's going on, how you go and knock on her door, but you don't get an answer. So you can visualize all this stuff by the way that you tell the story.
Exactly.
It was just a storytelling song. How did that song come about for you?
Well, I had a friend of mine that used to work in my house. He's a carpenter, and he would do different things, and we'd want to change stuff, and he always would tell me about his son. And man, my son can dance, he can sing, write songs, and everybody loves their kids, and
right.
and think that whatever they do is fantastic, and so he was after me for a while, and then finally I said, okay, let me meet your son. So I met his son, and his son was everything that he said, and so we would write all the time, and he would always say, well, I got to be inspired to write. And I said, at Motown, those guys go over there at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they sit there all day in a room, and they just write, and, then they, like it's a job. And I said, whether they inspired, whether the car ran out of gas that morning or, the rent is due or whatever, they got to be there and they got to write songs and crank them out, right? And so he came by the house one day and he's like, ready to write. And I was like, man, I don't really feel like it. And he's like, why? And I said, me and my girl got into it. And I'm just like, and he said, well, what would happen if you was at Motown? You'd have to write. And so I said, okay, you're right. And so he came on in, we sat down at the piano, and bam, we did 'Cause I Love You. Yeah. So that's how it came about. And then I recorded it on Motown, on the album that I did for Motown, but it was a little faster, and it didn't have the talking in it. And then I left Motown, and then in between doing that album and the Spark of Love album, I was doing 'Cause I Love You on the road, and then slowed it down, and then I put the talking in there and everything. So then it was like, okay, well, let me go back and just redo this song and do it the way I do it now. And so that, that became, the 'Cause I Love You that, the majority of people know. Most people don't even know that I had done it before on that Motown album. Like, yeah.
Right.
I don't think Motown even knew it at first, until it's our song. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know before they probably would have had a problem with that because, and maybe not, but I know sometimes, in the early years, they wouldn't even let artists leave with the same name. So,
but I did that song, and then I had to actually call Motown to get permission. I mean, you can do a song, but a lot of times they'd like for you to wait at least a couple of years, right? And it wasn't a couple of years, and so I had to call them to just get permission that, hey, I just left you guys and I did this song, but I'm going to do it now on ABC. And so they were amenable to it, and we, got it done and everything like that. So I had good people over there that I was working with, like Suzanne Pass and people like that, and so they were, very, very helpful and very kind to me. Yeah.
Now, after you've seen the success of Choosing You and Cause I Love You, and then the Spark of Love album actually going gold, you know, you had reached a peak at that point. I won't say it was your peak or your biggest peak ever, but you had reached some kind of successful peak. And then MCA comes in and takes over, and now you're under them. But it seemed that you didn't get any kind of backing, or they didn't know what to do at that time. So it seemed like you kind of just fell by the wayside after having that big success. So you go through 3 albums there, and then you're putting out material. But what was going on in your mind at that time after going through something that big, and then you get in this space where it's like, okay, well, now I'm putting out stuff, and it's like it's just falling by the wayside?
Well, I think a couple of things happened. Frank Wilson, I stopped. Stopped producing me, and I didn't go and get another producer on that level. And then the fact that the MCA, they just didn't know at that time what to do with black music, because the Mags came over, same thing happened to them. The Floaters came over, same thing happened to them. B.B. King came over. Of course, his music continued to happen. So Tom Petty came over. They knew what to do with Tom Petty. Different groups. Steely Dan came over. So they knew what to do with the other groups, but they didn't really know what to do too much with Al Hudson. And One Way came over. They didn't know what to do. And so at that point, that's when you just got to, you just got to grab hold of yourself and say, hey, I'm gonna weather this storm, and I'm gonna figure it out, and just try to hunker down and make it through that, and so that's what I did, then I came out of that, and then I think I started trying to do my own thing in terms of making record deals and starting my own record labels and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I think that, and I could be wrong, but I think that whole shuffle is part of the reason why sometimes some people may not even know Lenny Williams beyond Cause I Love You. Because if you say Lenny Williams, of course they know the song, and then you say, okay, well, he had other hits, but then a lot of people is like, oh, really? So
no, that's interesting. People say to me, I love your song. Like, oh, really? Oh, like I did one song, and it's like, right. I had 20 songs on the charts, and but you know what? I thank God that I'm in the conversation. There's some people who are as equally as talented as me, or maybe even more talented than me, are not not even in the conversation. People don't know them. They don't know about their work. They may just know their songs, don't know their name, or they're they're doing something else. They're not even in music anymore. Or they didn't own their own publishing like I do. You know what I mean? Where even if I'm not working, every time they play my music on the radio or put it in a movie or whatever, or somebody samples it. Kanye West samples or Scarface or Trey Songz or whomever, that money gonna find its way to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just thank God, that I've just had blessings along the way. And it's like, I thank God for, sometimes, people say the sins of your fathers. Some people, they're born into, the grandpa went to jail, the daddy went to jail, now you go to jail, and, and you kind of stuck in that cycle, so it's like, hey, my grandmama was a praying woman, my mama was a praying woman, and so, here I am, I'm getting the benefit of all those prayers and those blessings, and, so I'm just, I'm just glad to be in the conversation and be part of the whole blessing plan.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely, even in the midst of that kind of stuff, just like you said with publishing, it helped. did you have somebody that was around you that, said, sign this kind of stuff, or, make sure this stuff is intact, or, that helped you along the way with making sure things like publishing got done right?
Well, you know what? I was at Larry Graham's house, and this was before I was in Tower Power, and I was hanging out, and Keith Moore from the Miracles came down because he knew Larry was getting ready to leave Sly, and they were trying to sign Larry, and I'm trying to think of his name. I can't think of his name right now. One of the guys in Journey was hanging out, and he had just left the Carlos Santana. They were starting Journey, and so Neil Sean, right? And so I'm hanging out. It was got late, and I didn't feel like going home because you had to go down these winding hills, from Larry's house to my house. So I just decided to spend the night. And I went in this room. There was 2 beds in there, and nobody else was in there, and I went to sleep. So I woke up about 5 in the morning and said, well, I guess I better go on home. And look over there, and there's a girl in the bed, in the other bed. And, my first inclination, because I said, I had that problem about women was, Lord, I had to figure out how to get her in my bed or me in her bed, right? And she wakes up and hear me stirring around, and we start talking. And then she's like, well, yeah, you're quite the singer. I heard you singing last night, and yeah. And she says, well, do you write? And I'm like, yeah. And you have your own publishing and everything? I was like, no, what is that? And she explained it to me and everything. She says, I can tell you how to get your publishing. I said, really? She said, yeah. And she said, I live in Los Angeles, but I'm going to be leaving tomorrow, but here's my phone number, but I'm going to write everything down. She said, Monday when you get up, you go down to the courthouse and get you a fictitious business license, starting to cost you $25 or $30. And, you pick out a name and try to pick something that nobody else has. So that's why my publishing company is Lynn Lund, because my sons are Leonard and Lionel. And so Lynn and Lynn Lund, right? I said, I know nobody don't have that. And that's how I got my publishing. So I always tell everybody, when you meet these women, I know what might be on your mind as a man, but you need to check them out because these women are brilliant, and they get better grades than we get in school, and they're smart and intelligent, and you can get more out of a woman's mind than you can out of her body, or if you play your cards right, and so me talking to that woman instead of getting physical with her is the reason. I mean, that probably was without even over exaggerating, was a $2 million conversation.
Wow.
That I had with her.
Okay.
Yeah. And so
that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I made almost $1 million off of that Kanye West when him and Twista did that sample on Overnight Celebrity.
Yeah, and that was a big song.
Yeah, it was. And then Scarface turned around and did it, And so I'm just saying, that's how I found out about publishing, and I went down and did it. And after that, it's like, okay, I need my publishing. I write songs for Jose Feliciano, or Tom Power, or whomever. It's like I need my publishing, and I always had it.
I know that's right. Now, speaking of those songs that got sampled, though, I mean, I know they've been good to you as far as financial wise. But some of those songs, when you listen to them, did you say, I don't really like this, but hey, the check clear?
Well, I mean, so far, most of the songs that of mine that got sampled, I do like them. I do have one song that I wrote with Eugene McDaniels, the guy who wrote 100 Pounds of Clay and Feel Like Making Love for Roberta Flack. And some guy down in Atlanta sampled it, and it was nasty. I mean, it was vulgar, right? And so Eugene, he passed away, but he was married to a white girl, and her family, I guess, owns the inherited the publishing, right? And so I was okay with it, you know what I mean? I said, it's nasty, but, you know, the world is nasty, you know? And,
right.
and so I was, I was all good for the money, but then they didn't want to do it. And so, so then the songwriter decided not to do it, you know, and so it was just kind of interesting because they didn't want a problem, even though I said they could, and they said, they didn't want them to, you know, so they just said, well, I will just pass on it, you know. So to me, you know, I'm not, a person who's, who's going to go to a songwriter. I mean, I may not necessarily like what you do, but I'm not an editor or, of somebody else's, music or their talent or whatever. And to say that you can't do this or whatever. So, I just kind of let people do what they want to do. And
okay.
Like I see some people say, President Trump is using my music and I don't like his politics. If they're using my music and I'm getting paid for it, I don't really have a problem with it. I've seen some, Republicans, say, this Democrat is using my music and I'm not aligned with the Democratic Party. I don't want them to use my music as their theme song. I don't know. I mean, I'm not really into censorship, so I just say,
right.
If everything is taken care of business-wise, then, do your thing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because it could be I won't say a bad thing, but it could definitely be a good thing. I mean, in your case, as far as like Twist and Kanye, that kind of brought a resurgence of your music back up, along with before then the Kings of Comedy. So
right. I was able to I had 3 daughters in college at the same time that when Kanye and them and Pussy did that. So it sure helped me,
Yeah,
and I was able to get my girls all the way through college with no student loans. And, they got out of college and boom, just go there to go to work and they weren't about paying no student loans or nothing, So that was, and then one of them was going to Ivy League school,
oh, wow,
$60,000, $70,000 a year, plus, all the other stuff that be going on when they're in college, It's like, so,
Yeah, so it definitely was a blessing in your case.
Yes.
I know with I seen Shaka Khan a few years ago, Kanye sampled her Through the Fire. But she said when she heard it, she didn't really like it. But obviously it still, went through because he did it. But, I think it's just a matter of opinion on who the person is.
Right, I tell you, them big checks will make you like it. You might start off
exactly.
Like, if you get that big check, I like this.
Exactly, it'll make you change your mind fast, won't it?
Yes, but I like big checks, and I can't deny.
Yeah. But you've seen that before. I mean, even with the Dramatics, when they said, as far as Snoop Dogg wanting to, bring them on his album. And, he said he had 1 million pre-sales already before the album was even out. And they was like, okay, well, we'll do it.
Right, exactly. So,
like I said, it's just a matter of the person sometimes. But those chicks do change your mind.
Yeah, they will.
But now I took some questions from people on my social media and regarding music, of course.
Okay.
And one of them said, what do you think gives singers like you longevity?
Repeat that again?
What do you think gives singers like you longevity?
Well, I think good music, and I think keeping your voice, together, and just being out there. I think that being out there is what you have to kind of always kind of keep a presence. So a lot of times the shows come up, they may maybe I'm not headlining, but I'm opening up. So I'm just always trying to to be present. And I think as far as longevity, you got to take care of your voice, because if you're not able to deliver, then quite naturally you won't be out there. You won't have that longevity. And so, take care of your voice and just try to, have good songs. I think in my case, 'Cause I Love You, So Very Hard to Go, songs like that, just gonna, keep you out there. People want to hear them. Yeah.
Mhm. And I think too. I'm going to add on to that. I think in your case too, it was a matter of being ready because you were still putting out music, although you didn't have the exposure as you did before. But you were still putting out music, and by the time that you had a resurgence of people saying, "Well, where's Lenny?" You already saying, "Okay, well, I'm here. I'm ready."
Yeah, yeah, you got to be ready, right? Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, even when I had periods where I wasn't gigging and my phone wasn't ringing, it's like I'm exercising every day, so I make sure that if the phone ring, I'm looking good,
Mhm.
I'm doing my voice exercises every day so that when that phone rings, I'm sounding good, so you have to always try to be prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. I got another one that says, "Do you listen to any of the modern male artists?"
Yeah, I like Anthony Hamilton, Trey Songz,
Okay.
all those people like that. Yeah, Calvin Richardson. Yeah, I listen to Chris Brown. And Usher. I mean, I listen to them all. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Out of all of those guys, or even some that you didn't name, is it something that you would personally want to work with?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was on. I went to Aruba with Alicia Keys and Anthony Hamilton had performed the night before, and he came to the show, and I was singing "Cause I Love You," and he came up on stage and sang with me, and that was a lot of fun. So I'd love to do something with Anthony Hamilton, and definitely even Chris Brown, somebody like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it'd be
yeah.
fun. Yeah, yeah.
And Anthony Hamilton had a similar style of, to you, in his earlier works too. So I mean, that would be awesome.
Mhm.
And then the last one that I had, it says, "Where do you see the art form of crooning to women headed with the forwardness of the male singers today?" And she basically is saying, you guys in your day were like subtle with requests, and today is pretty much straight to the point.
Right. Well, I think that's the way it is. I was doing some counseling here about I don't know 20 years ago, and
Hmm.
uh, and I was counseling young people, and uh, and so one of the boys had a appointment with me, say 2 o'clock, and then he come showing up around about 5, and then I was like, well, what happened to you? I mean, I ran this girl, man, and we got off the bus and we went somewhere and made love, and I was like, really? And I said, well, you knew her, or, no, I just met her. And she was looking at me, and I was like, can I hit that? And I said, that's that's how it happened. He's like, yeah. I said, I think that when I was a kid, you had to, go to the movies and hold hands with, 3 or 4 weeks and all
Yep.
that kind of stuff. But so that's the reality. That's the world. I mean, where we say, "Oh, you're beautiful. You smell good. I love your hair and this and that." Can I hold your hand? Can I walk with you and talk with you and make love to you? They don't. They forget the hair and how you smell and you smell good and the holding the hand and the walking. They just go, "Ma'am, can we?" What the
Exactly.
Tanks record was, "Can we?" Right? Yeah, can we? Yes. Right? Yeah. And that record was a hit too. Because so that
Yeah, it
people
was.
right, people identify with that. That's what's happening today. I mean, it's like I get on my computer, I'll get on my phone, and then it takes 3 seconds to boot up. I'm like, what's wrong with this phone? You know what I mean? This is the world we
Hmm.
live in today. You know what I mean? We want it instantaneously, and no fooling around. Nothing in the way. Just you know, we do what we want, and so that transfers from technology to you know, uh, you know, uh, you ask your wife to do something, you ask your kids to do something, or whatever, and the same thing, with intimacy. People just
Right.
want to do it. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, but you know, the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun, and so I would imagine at some point in time it will revert back to that. Some young kids don't listen to an old school song and decide they want to do it, and it's going to be about romance, and people are going to be like, oh, I'd like to check out romance and see what that's about, and so I'm sure that at some point in time it's going to recycle back to that.
Yeah, I'm almost sure too, because just like now, you get a lot of artists sampling a lot of the 90s stuff.
Right.
Just like in the 90s, a lot of the guys or hip hop, were sampling some of the 70s stuff and the 80s stuff. So,
right.
It recycles, like you said. I mean, if you think about it too, you had sexually provocative songs back then too, but it was more like, even if you think about Teddy, he was more saying, we're going through a process to make love. It's not just me saying,
right.
well, let me hit that, like the guy
right.
said.
Right.
So,
But I did, one thing I did was I was singing the blues, right? I've been doing a lot of blues stuff. And I Googled, if you go and you Google sexually provocative blues songs from the 1920s, you would be surprised. I used to hear my grandmother and my mom, and we can't listen to the blues, right? And then I was like, I'm going to Kansas City. I come. There's some crazy other women there. I'm going to get me one. I was like, well, what's wrong with that? I didn't understand it. And I didn't understand it.
Right.
Then I Googled sexually provocative lyrics to blues songs in the 20s and the 30s. Let me tell you something. You listen to that, and it's just like you was listening to some of this rap music today. And so, so that's been around a long time. You know what I mean? I Googled that one, and some lady had a song. But I got nipples on my titties as long as your thumb. When I get to work, and it sure make you come. Rock me, daddy. Rock me, shave me, daddy. Shave me, shave. I'm like, oh Lord, have mercy, And so that's been around a long time, and so people think that the kind of lyrics that they hear in rap music is provocative, and it's just terrible. Trust me, didn't Frank Sinatra have some music out about something in cocaine or something like that?
I think so.
Yeah, right. It's like it ain't nothing new. I mean, human beings and human nature. And so it's just new to us because we have, it went out of style, went out of vogue for a while, and come back around, and so I say that the good, the bad, and the ugly, they all have their time, and and it just kind of like circulates and so it's kind of
I think too, just like you said, it's been around, and then too, you got to think about it. R&B songs like "Cause I Love You," were in the forefront in the 70s, right? But you also still at that same time had blues out. You had people like Johnny Taylor out, and you had people like Denise LaSalle out, or Marvin C.
Oh, yeah.
You had all these people, and I mean, they was making those same kind of songs, but they just weren't on the same, or they didn't have the same exposure, I would say, as R&B
exposure,
music.
Right, like that. Yeah. Right, exactly. But that Marvin C. was down there making all that money. Me and Marvin C. born on the same day, February 16th. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Marvin, the candy liquor. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So he helped. Push it too. I mean, and then you had people like Millie Jackson that helped influence hip hop as well. Betty Wright, who just passed away. But those kind of people influence hip hop as well. So it does still play a part at some point.
Well, we all learn from each other, and we borrow from each other, and I think that's good, and so there's certain elements in all genres of music that borrow, from other genres. So in a way, it's all the same, but we just give it different names. We say classical, we say blues, we say R&B, we say adult contemporary, we say rap, we say hip hop. But it's
Right.
all music. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, a few years ago, you ended up participating in a episode of Unsung.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically highlighted you to tell your story. What was that, like for you to come back now and have something like that come up?
Oh, it was cool. They called me, and they had called me before, and
Okay.
and they were trying to get me to do it. And the person that was trying to get me to do it was, looking for something salacious. It's like, well, I ain't killed nobody. I ain't I ain't lost all my money to drugs. I ain't been homeless. You know what I mean? I didn't lose my house. So I don't have, the horrible story to tell.
Right, right.
My story is not, on the like driving down a a beautiful road with trees lined up and beautiful houses. I've had some twists and turns in my career and things like that, and some ups and downs. But this big headline of Lenny Williams strung out on drugs, or Lenny Williams lost all his money, and all that kind of stuff, or live on the street. I didn't have that. So sometimes with these programs they need that to be able to make it enticing for people to watch. So
Yeah.
after a couple of years they came back to me and they were able to get with a writer who could take my story and make it interesting, without all of drama and misfortune or anything like that. Yeah, so it was a good experience.
Yeah, yeah. And if you look at it too, I love the Unsung episodes and the people over there Unsung. But if you look at some of those older episodes, like they did on the groups, like whether it's like Blue Magic or it's a lot of those older groups, they had a lot of problems. You see, and most of those people said, "Yeah, I was on dope and I was on drugs," and you know, they had those kind of issues, and it seemed like sometimes that narrative was kind of being pushed in different episodes. But so it kind of makes sense that they were.
But I guess
to
it's
do
the
that
truth, though. I guess if it's happening to so many people, then I guess it is. It's the truth. It's a pattern. And so I guess you just tell the truth, and the truth is that there are all kinds of people that this pathway to success in the music business and in the entertainment business is lined up with people who lost their money, people who got involved with drugs, people who lost their money through gambling, drugs, and bad marriages and whatever, and people who got swindled out of their money. You know what I mean? Through a manager or an accountant or a record company or whatever. So these, it's factual. So I guess you will probably see that a lot in a lot of these stories. Black, white. I'm sure if they did it on white artists, they would probably find the same exact thing. Just go down the line, boom, 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 boom. And so that's why it's important for young people who are in the business to look at that and read. I used to read autobiographies of famous people, especially in the music business, because I was in it, and I would see all these different things. So that's why I said, okay, nobody's going to swindle me out of my money. You know what I mean? I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going to get involved in no drugs and alcohol, to where I got some type of substance abuse issues. And so, I was on the lookout for those things. It's like, you fighting,
right.
A boxer that's a left hooker, you're on the lookout for that left hook,
Exactly.
And, you know what I mean? And if you ain't, you're going to get knocked out, and this is why I think a lot of people, they enter the music business and they're nonchalant about it and you're not thinking about it. And then boom, there you go. Somebody's going to shoved a piece of paper in front of you and you signed it. And then, oh my God, there go my royalties, there go this, there go that, or somebody's always, this is cool. It ain't going to hurt you. Next thing you know, you hooked and you're selling yourself or selling your possessions. And so I think that it's I mean, so those things, even though it just seemed like that there was a pattern of that, I guess it was, it's because that was what was happening, and is happening, even to this day. It's funny how people can see all that stuff and still walk and fall in that same hole. And
Right.
You've seen it. You go back 50, 60, 70 years, and you've seen it, and you still see people doing the same thing.
Mhm. But I'm glad that we did get a chance to see the other side with people's stories like yours, who said, "Hey, I had struggles, I had ups and downs, but I'm still here. I wasn't, strung out on drugs. I might have had some, pitfalls right here, but I got right back up. I kept going, and I'm still here to make music." And even like I said, even yours and even Betty Wright's, hers was more like a tribute, which I loved. Of course,
Right.
she's from Miami, like I am, but it was more of like you just looked at it and you were like, "Oh, okay, wow, this is nice." Okay, it wasn't, a fairy tale story that ended bad or nothing like that. So
Right.
I'm glad we got to see those sides of the stories too. And like I said, you still here, just tell your story and still sing, and you hear.
Yeah, like I said, when I was a drug counselor, a lot of times, there was this conception in that industry that that in order to be a good drug counselor, you had to have been on drugs, so that you could you could sympathize and empathize with the drug addict. And I was saying, what, I don't really see it that way. Maybe it might be encouraging to somebody to say, "Hey, I grew up in the projects like you. I had the same issues as you, but I said no, and I was able to make it through." So I think that, and so maybe that can have an effect, a positive effect on somebody, just like the fact that somebody could say, "Hey, I got hooked on drugs, just like you, and I was able to get off and now have a positive life." So I think both approaches, work. Yeah. So I think if people see both sides of the coin, it's then they can pick the way they want to go. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, at the end of that episode, you said that you didn't really believe that you had reached the pinnacle of your career, what you've seen for yourself. So what would be the pinnacle of your career for you?
Well, I don't know. You have to have record sales. I mean, trying to figure out how to have record sales in this market. Where you got all the streaming and you got all of the different Spotify and places like that that don't pay you a lot of money for for the use of your music. To figure out a way to be successful and to be able to make a living off of music nowadays. So I think that to me, if I could do that, and then if I could even help somebody else, if I could take what I've learned and the resources that I have and develop an artist and or two, I think that that would kind of put the final star like at the top of the Christmas tree, for me, the pinnacle, to be able to do something to make the music and make my experience live on after I'm gone, and and then I mean, we're living in a turbulent time for musicians, with the advent of the internet, and how do people make money off of music, and to be able to try to figure that out and be able to have a blueprint for that, I think would definitely be a nice thing, and make me feel like I did reach the pinnacle.
Well, I will say this. I think, I hope that you will see it while you're still here. And like I said, I'm thankful that, Unsung finally did an episode on you, so that can, help boost somewhat. I'm thankful that you're able to be here to do this interview today, because one thing about it, and I know sometimes people might not give you the credit, but even with that one song of "'Cause I Love You," you have changed the way that things were done for male R&B artists and R&B period. So, I mean, that's a legacy that I don't believe can ever be erased.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I definitely do. Yeah, And sometimes you don't even realize, the effect that you have or on people and artists, young artists, and other artists. And so, and that's good to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, and now with this new album, hopefully I want people to go and listen to it. But like I said, you mixed it up. You got R&B, you got blues, you got the young, you got the old, but you still kept your same sound. And that's one thing I do appreciate too, because sometimes people get lost in what's going on currently, and then it's like
right,
you jump way off the margin.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, who knows? Maybe my next record might be a rap record, and I might just say, MC Grandpa.
Well, I tell you this: you're never too old to do what you want to do, though. Hey, try it all.
Give me some gold teeth and get a little sag on and make it happen.
Yeah. Look, it might work, and you never know in this day and age, though.
No, you never know. So it's just fun. Music is fun, and like you say, and you try something. Sammy Davis didn't want to do a Candyman. It wound up being his biggest record. So
exactly.
So you got to be open to suggestions and try to have some fun and keep your fingers crossed and hope for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Lenny, I want to thank you so much for doing this with me today. I thank you for being open and honest about your career, about music. And before you go, though, just let everybody know where they can find you as far as your website, your social media, all of that stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm on LennyWilliams.com. You can reach me, and then you can be able to email me from there. I check it out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day, especially now with this COVID virus. I'm on there, all the time, so I answer, everything myself. I'm on Instagram, Lenny, Lenny, Twitter, Lenny Williams, so you can definitely, reach out. And, like I said, I respond personally. And, and it, keeps me going. And like I said, doing this, the COVID virus, gives me, something to do. So, I wake up and say my prayers. Like I was reading Oprah. She said, she was at a time where she used to just wake up and roll over and reach for that phone. And she said, I can't do that. I gotta lay here for a minute and thank the good Lord for waking me up. So every day, I wake up and I thank God for His blessings and goodness, and then I reach for the phone and, and start checking it out. So that's the way to reach me, Instagram, Twitter, and also, on Facebook or whatever, LennyWilliams.com. And, we'll respond back.
All right. Sounds good. And, of course, the new album is available. It's called Fine. It's available on all streaming platforms, correct?
Exactly right. All the streaming platforms, it's out there, and check it out, and and text me, email me, let me know what you think. All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Lenny Williams.